And then what we usually do is I'll do my intro, I'll introduce you, we'll talk about music, we'll talk about what you got going on currently. I really enjoy a lot of your songwriter Sunday stuff you've been
Oh, thank
doing.
you. Thank you so much.
Um, been checking that out the last couple of weeks, so that's really exciting and really refreshing because what I like about it is how raw and real it is, like just
Yeah.
doing it, uh, not like worrying if the sound quality is absolute best and, just kind of
Yeah.
being very real and upfront about it. That's really cool.
Cool. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Let me share this a couple places. Um, but yeah, like I said, we'll do one or two song. Have you play one or two songs, and probably after a few minutes, after we do a little bit of talking, we'll jump into the first song, and then we'll have you close with the second song.
Awesome.
Um, Let me just share this a couple places really quick. Come on, come on. You can't hear this buzzing, can you?
No.
No? Okay. Cool. Because for some reason, my interface, every once in a while, like the intercooling fan decides it just wants to go at high speed.
Say hi. Yeah.
Yeah.
My dogs, I have four dogs here, and right now they're silent. My parents come home at some point tonight, and
Mm.
they may just say hello for just a few seconds, but then they'll be quiet. So,
Oh, that's all good. That's all good.
uh,
All right. All right. Let me make sure. That is the 6 second, though. Is it not? All right. I'll deal with that in a minute. Alrighty. So we are live, and I shared it a couple places. So if you're ready, we will jump into it.
sounds awesome.
All right. Awesome. Awesome. Let me make sure. Yep, we're recording. All right. Awesome. Sorry, I got it. Yep, that's what I wanted. Now let me minimize this. All right. Cool. Welcome, everybody, to another live and amplified livecast. I'm your host, Tom Quat, and we're back at it again with another amazing podcast. Today, we have a very special guest. She's from Memphis, Tennessee. We have Savannah Brister. How's it going today?
I'm doing well. How about you?
Doing pretty good. Just we're at the beginning stages of like this Texas heat wave that's getting ready to come through, and it'll be my first, well, not my first experience because I lived in New Mexico for 4 years, so I'm well
Oh yeah,
aware
you're
of
good.
the crazy heat.
Yes, I can relate. It
Yeah.
is humid, humid, humid here in
Yep.
Memphis.
Yep. And that's what they keep telling me is it's a different kind of humidity here. It's just like, oh great. Because I lived in Florida for 2 years and that was just pure humidity. Here it's just like a different humidity. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
that sounds amazing. So first off, I want to thank you so much for jumping on the podcast. It's kind of funny how we got introduced to each other through Nia. It's just
Yeah.
kind of like, oh, okay, cool. And she's like, hey, I got this friend that might be interested in doing the podcast. Can I tell her about it? And I'm like, yeah, sure, let's do it. And then it's just like, yeah, so it was really funny. But first off, I want to thank you so much for jumping on the podcast. It's
Thank you
gonna
so much for having me. This is awesome.
Yeah, I'm really excited to get to know you. But first off, I want to just mention I mentioned as soon as you jumped on the podcast, I really enjoy the songwriter Sundays that you've been doing, like just live. Some of them are in your room, some of them are out on the I'm assuming out on the back patio or
Yeah.
porch or whatever. It's absolutely amazing. Is that something that you really just started doing during COVID, or is that something you've always kind of done?
Yes, I right around when COVID hit, I kind of went through a writer's block, which all us writers know those come and it sucks. And I I knew I needed like a shove to like force myself out of it. And so I was just like, okay, if I make myself accountable to post something once a week, and just write one song a week, even if, that's it. I become accountable and I have fans hopefully that like this, that it'll push me to keep going. And so that's kind of, I've done it now for about 2.5 months.
Mm.
So yeah, I've really enjoyed making them and seeing what comes out and grabbing inspiration from different places. So
Yeah, absolutely. And it's in this time of where not a lot of people have the ability to get out and go record, you kind of take a step back and it's like, let's just get the music out. Let's not worry if the sound is pristine. Let's just get the music out and the people will come. And it's like just seeing all the videos that you've done so far and watching some of them are covers, most of them are originals, but some every once in a while you'll throw in a cover.
yeah.
So that's absolutely amazing, and I really admire the fact that you're willing and able to do that.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I think a lot of the time, especially over the past year or two, I've noticed that I'll wait until something is just right or perfect to do. And I'm very much so a perfectionist. And I think I just got to the point where I was like, screw it,
Yeah,
just post it and do it. And I think that is one thing that's been awesome to see, just to accept the imperfections.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So when you sit, or we'll touch on this part first. When you sit down to like write your song, or all the songs that you perform, are they stuff that you've just recently written, or is it like stuff maybe you've been sitting on for a while? Like, what's that kind of like?
Usually the Songwriter Sundays are new ones. There have been, I think, 2 weeks where I just pulled something that I had.
Hmm.
It was just one of those weeks where my brain was not having it.
Yeah,
And but mostly and sometimes that inspiration hits Sunday. I mean, it
yeah,
is last minute. I'll post it at 9 o'clock that night, and it just, it is what it is. But there are some times where I just kind of let it come in through the week, and sometimes it takes me a couple days and I really spend my time on it. And so it differs, but mostly they're newbies.
awesome. And that's the real magic of songwriting is sometimes when it hits, it hits. Like you hear those stories of musicians, they have that big hit song and they're like, oh yeah, I wrote it in 5 minutes on my way into the studio or
Yeah.
whatever. And it's just like,
Yeah.
okay, and so that's just like the magic of songwriting because it's like when it hits.
It hit.
And
Yeah.
yeah, if you're
Yeah, I
feeling
have
it, you're
those
feeling it.
best ones. The ones that you just, it flows out in like 30 minutes and you're done.
Hmm.
Those are the best. It's the best feeling in the world.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So you're based out of Memphis. You're born, raised Memphis.
Born and raised. Yeah.
Awesome. What's kind of the independent scene? Because I don't get to talk to a lot of people from Memphis. Usually, it's a lot of people from Nashville.
Yeah.
So I'm not overly familiar with the Memphis indie scene.
Yeah, well, I really do believe we have gotten a lot of publicity over the past 2 years, of just showing the talent here in Memphis. I think there are a lot of opportunities here that aren't anywhere else, and it's just kind of got that soul vibe, you
Hmm.
know. So, I mean, we have Beale Street and Royal Studios and different places here that just have so much history. It's just bound to create something beautiful. So I've loved growing up here. I think it gets a bad rep sometimes,
Hmm.
and just sometimes I just love it here. It's just really awesome. I have spent most of my time on Beale Street and other times in Overton Square singing there. And there are great programs here that fund tours for Memphis artists. So it's a kind of a little hidden gem, I think.
Awesome, awesome. And so you got or you just recently released Emerald. That's a single, correct? Or
That is an old bee of mine. That I
okay,
actually released Dear World. That's my
Dear
new
World. Okay, Dear World. I was going through your website and I was just like, wait, which one
one.
of these is the most recent? I'm confused right now. Okay, so Dear.
You're right, yeah.
Dear World. Okay, so did you recorded that in Memphis or?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
Sorry, Emerald was in Nashville and Dear World was in Memphis. Yes,
okay.
yeah.
What was that kind of process like when you sat down? What was it about that song specifically that made you want to record it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had just I wrote it in August, and it was right around the time where I was attempting, and I'm still attempting, picking up the guitar. And I just picked out something that sounded cool. I didn't even know what I was playing on the guitar, and wrote it right after the El Paso shootings.
Mm,
And I it was at 2 a.m. They always come at 2 a.m. for some reason, and wrote it in the course of 2 nights in a row, and was meeting one of my friends the next day to record something else. And it wasn't really flowing what I picked out, and so I was like, hey, I have this, it may suck. It's like, let's just try it. And right then and there we made a demo, and then just over the course of a few months we just really poured our hearts into it. And I don't know. I feel like it's the first song that really, really gave me a peek into what kind of artist I want to be.
mm,
So that was just a cool process to
yeah,
see.
absolutely, absolutely. And how long? Or well, let's kind of take a step back here for a second before we dive too much deeper. What's kind of your origin story? What got you into music?
Yeah.
All that fun stuff.
Well, I started playing the keys when I was 7 years old, and that is definitely home for me. I really relate to Alicia Keys because
Yeah.
that's kind of where I found music and found my love of music. And actually thought I was going to be a jazz pianist for quite a long time. I was going to
Yeah.
go to Juilliard. I had a full plan set out.
Yeah.
And then I found singing when I was about 13 years old. And immediately I was like, this is it. This is what I'm doing. But it still didn't quite feel right because I knew there
Mhm.
was just something missing. And when I hit about 14 and 15, I wrote one of my first songs. And that's kind of when the last puzzle piece came in. And since then, I've just been working really hard on it. And that's all I've ever really done. I haven't really done anything else.
Mm.
And just poured my heart and soul into all things music. And yeah, that's me.
Awesome. Um, so I I was kind of going back and forth when we wanted to bring up the voice,
Yeah.
being on the voice. Uh, and we'll get to it here in a minute. Like I kind of want to hold off on that, but let's kind of tease it a little bit. You were on season 16 of The Voice. You were selected by John Legend. Um, what was it about The Voice that kind of made you at least want to audition?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just watching all the shows when I was younger, that was something that just really stood out musically. Just the whole concept was fantastic.
Mm,
And I just really, really loved the authenticity
mm,
of the entire show. And really felt that actually when I went there. I mean, all the people were great, all the contestants. I mean, we're an entire family. I mean, it
mm.
was just so cool to meet people that had the same passion as me. And um, it was just an awesome experience. To this
Mm.
day, I'm just still amazed that it happened.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's definitely the show to try out for any aspiring vocalist. It is definitely that's the one. That's it.
Had you a try, or was The Voice something you kind of grew up watching? Or was it more American Idol, or like?
I definitely grew up watching American Idol, and then when that came on, I one of my aunts actually was like, "Do you watch The Voice?" And I was like, "No," and she showed it to me when I was like 12 or 13, and I watched it religiously. Like I had all my favorites, and I ended up trying out when I was 15. And obviously didn't get it. And my mom afterwards, she was like, "Do you want to try it again?" And I was like, "Heck yeah!" And so I just kept working at it, and 17 was it.
Nice. Yeah, I the first time I heard about The Voice, I was 22, and I think it was like season 3.
Yeah.
And a bunch of my buddies and we were watching the Super Bowl, and then there was like a halftime ad, or like an ad that came on and said, stick around after the Super Bowl, the new season of The Voice, you know. And in Super Bowl we're all drunk, and it's just like, oh hey, let's watch that, because I lived with a bunch of country people and they all love Blake Shelton, and
Yeah.
whose face do they show up? And it's just like, okay, I guess we're watching this. And then it was just like, oh, every Monday and Tuesday we're watching so it was very funny.
That's awesome.
Yeah, just six college dudes sitting there every Monday and Tuesday watching The Voice, and we're sitting there placing bets on who's going to get eliminated every week, and it's like, so it's just like, all right, we got to find something better to do with our time or something, because we're sitting here betting on The Voice. Like, what's going on? But um, so we'll get more into The Voice here a little bit later on, and we'll kind of go through your journey and all that fun stuff. But you're gonna play some music for us this evening.
Awesome.
What's the first song that you're gonna play for us?
I am going to play my newest single, Dear World.
Okay, awesome.
That's the story. News on the TV. Deja vu again. More lives ending. Wanna change it. Make a difference. But I've got all these words on some pages. Dear world, please don't give up on us yet. No, it's not just to go to bed. I wanna keep dreaming, but it's hard to do that. It feels like you're leaving, dear world. No. What's humanity? Is that even a real thing? I used to believe. Now I don't feel anything. Becoming desensitized. Will become our demise if we don't shut up and start saving our own lives. Dear world, please don't give up on us yet. No, it's not the time. Not the time to go to bed. I wanna keep dreaming, but it's hard to do that. It feels like you're leaving, dear world. Oh. Let's go back to the old days. Monsters didn't come out to play. We went to school only for learning. Mom and Dad had no worries. Seems to welcome us every day. Another shooting on the front page. Oh, what I would do to change this dear world. Dear world, please don't give up on us yet. No, it's not the time. Not the time to go to bed. I wanna keep dreaming, but it's hard to do that. It feels like you're leaving, dear world.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you for sharing that song. And so the name of that song is Dear World, and that's your most recent single.
Yes, on
It
all
re-
platforms.
how long ago that released? Back in May, correct?
April.
April.
3rd.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what did you was that you didn't record that during the pandemic? That was before the pandemic hit,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
Were you worried that you weren't going to be able to release it because of the pandemic, or was it just one of those things where it was just like, no, we have it in the bag, let's get it out?
Yeah, I was actually holding on to it for a little bit longer. I was gonna wait and record a few more things. And right when all that came about, I was like, this fits our issues right now.
Mhm.
And I was like, let's just do it. And so yeah, I'm a very planned out person. I usually plan things out way in advance.
Mhm.
And I submitted that to be released less than a week before it released. So it
Oh
was
wow.
kind of a quick.
I think that's the kind of interesting that COVID has kind of done is it's taken a like myself included. I like being very planned, very calculated with everything that we do.
Yeah.
And right now it's just like we're shooting from the hip.
Yep.
We're just going.
Wing
We're
it.
gonna make it work.
Yep.
So that's really really cool. What was the when you were writing that song? How when you first started writing it? Did it how did it change kind of over the time over the progression of writing? Did it end up turning out the way you initially imagined it?
I I don't know. I think we all of us as songwriters, I think when you write something that's kind of special, and I knew it had potential. And I ended up getting with my buddy DJ Pruitt, and he's got a beautiful brain. He's just awesome. And I told you I didn't know how to play the guitar, so I only have 4 chords. Came and I was like, you got to make this better. And it was cool to see how it progressed. The demo sounds completely different compared to what is on the
Mm-hmm.
streaming platforms today. And I think we brought in a neo soul thing that just wasn't there when I wrote it. It was just
Yep.
very raw, like my songwriter Sundays are, and that was cool to kind of see it progress and all the BGVs and everything that we iced into there that I usually have never done before. So that was really cool to just see how it grew and lived
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. Yeah. And I definitely picked up a lot of the soul vibes on it.
Yeah,
It was yeah. It like if listening to this version, the version you just played, and like the actual version, it's like it feels like almost two completely different songs. The way
I
you
know.
played on the piano versus like the fully produced with the multiple instrument, it's two completely different songs, and it's both of them are amazing. So first off, I want to thank you for sharing that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Um, so is the plan moving forward to lead it into like an EP or an LP, or do you kind of plan on staying the single route right now?
The plan is definitely an EP. I'm still, like I said, I'm a perfectionist. So those songwriter Sundays, I'm picking out the ones that I really like and kind of putting them in a file over here to possibly record. And yeah, right now I am. That's my brain. I'm preparing for an EP, and I have that in my mind, and talking with producers, and um, so that's definitely a dream that I wanted to fulfill this year. Due to COVID, it probably won't happen this year,
Yeah.
but it's definitely in the process. And um, until then, I will definitely be releasing more music. We're talking about possibly recording my blind audition song from The Voice and
Mhm.
redoing that, which will be cool, and just different projects that I'm super pumped about. So it's coming. It's coming. It
Oh,
may be a little longer.
yeah.
It's coming.
And I mean, I think that's just one of the things. I mean, like the fact that you're technically like auditioning your potential single or other songs that are going to be on
Yeah,
this EP is really cool because it's like everybody's hearing like a very stripped down, basic version of the song. And then if they like it that way, imagine what it's going to sound like fully produced, studio, stuff like that. So that's really interesting. And especially since you can't get out to do shows right now, it's like how else are you going to audition songs, because it's like musicians, that's how they find out, oh hey, I should probably record this song, people like it, is when they get out to play it at live show.
yeah.
um but right now in Memphis you guys aren't doing any live shows, correct?
None. Most of them, I have done a few things on Zoom.
Hmm.
Um, and the one cool thing, y'all, I went to a complete funk when this all came about because my life is music and I'm so used to being on stage and just doing my thing and being around people. And I just kind of got to the point, there have been so many opportunities that came with COVID that probably wouldn't have happened.
Hmm.
Just many different, I'm doing a Zoom concert this Saturday in the UK. I've done many more interviews like this than normal, when normally I'd be focusing on rehearsing or being a part of a show. So I really think, um, after getting out of my funk, I kind of came around it and just saw all the positive things that came from this weird year.
Yeah, yeah. I think you summed up this year in a nutshell with weird year.
Yeah.
Like it's just insanity. How what's before COVID had hit, had you done like online concerts or live streams or anything like that prior to
I
COVID?
never really focused on social media that much, and that this has been a massive learning process because we all know you have to be great at social media to make it these days, and that's I. I'd post a picture really quick after a show and be done with it. And now that's like all I work on. But it has shown me it's cool to do the live streams.
Hmm.
It's neat to literally talk straight to your fans, and
Yeah.
um, so it's been an interesting learning experience.
Did you have when you did your first the one thing that I noticed because when COVID first hit, we started doing like some live and amplified type virtual concerts,
Yeah,
and the one thing that I noticed was I could tell who had never done live streams before because it's like they'd come into their first song and it's like, hey, I'm so and so, and this is my brand new song, ABCDE, whatever it is. And they'd start playing, they'd intro it nice and start playing, and then once they come towards the end of the song, they're just kind of looking around, not knowing what to do because they're waiting for the uh like fan feedback,
yeah,
like the applause or the recognition that hey, we did a thing here.
yeah,
So that was just that's just always interesting. And then like as they play on, it's just kind of like, okay, I'm getting into this flow now. And then by
yeah,
then the
yeah.
segment's over and
It's definitely awkward. It's really awkward. I have found the better ones are, I think, on Zoom because I've done a few on there with a few buddies. So like we'd all kind of rally together and pay like $5 to get in or something, or treat it like a real show. And we'd have people there that would basically clap at the end and kind of kind of treat it like a normal thing, and it's still so not normal. It's really weird, but it's a little better than staring at your iPhone screen on Instagram Live and just seeing people comment hearts and stuff. And so yeah, it's just new normal.
yeah. It's funny you brought up Instagram because it's like I feel like that kind of takes the flow out a little bit because after every song, if you've got to lean in and scroll through the comments and be like, oh, who's saying.
Yeah, yeah,
And it's just like, just kind of go on with the show and acknowledge the comments later.
yeah,
Unless you're taking requests,
yeah.
then that's a whole different situation. Um, but during the pandemic, obviously, you've been focusing on a lot of writing and you've been doing the Songwriter Sundays, learning how to better yourself at guitar. But what else have you been doing to kind of challenge yourself creatively?
Ooh, that's a good question. Well, I will say the one thing I think I fudged a lot at the beginning of the year on collaborating with people, and I spent so much alone time with my brain the first month in this quarantine. I was
Yeah,
like, if I do not collaborate with someone soon, it's gonna get bad.
yeah,
So I think that has been one thing that I've really prioritized over the past month of just really setting up co-writes, doing them, finishing the songs, um, meeting new producers, and that really has it just anytime you work with someone new, it just completely opens up another side of your brain.
mhm.
So that's been one thing I think that's really helped.
So are co-writes just as big in Memphis as they are in like Nashville? Because I know Nashville, every day there's a
Everybody does
different.
it. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. I would say they are just because I mean I think anyone knows the music business is kind of it ends up being a small world because everybody knows everybody. So I say normally yeah.
yeah.
There's a lot of songwriters here. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. And then when there isn't like a global pandemic going on, how often do you get out to do live shows or get out to tour?
Yeah, I was really, I went through a period where right after coming off The Voice, my mom, I immediately went straight to music, and my mom was like, okay, just graduate high school first. I was
Yeah.
like, why do I have to do that? And so I actually took a step back from music for a second, but right after, I mean, I threw myself into the business. I was doing shows almost every weekend. Um, Anywhere I possibly could in Memphis, and truly it was so sad. I really had started booking a lot of out of town shows come March, April, May this year.
Hmm.
And then all this, and I had
Yeah.
a show in Pennsylvania and Arkansas and Florida. I had a bunch of different
Yeah.
things where I was starting to call it a tour.
Yeah.
And then it fell through, but
Yeah.
we were getting there. We were
Yeah.
getting there.
So while you were on The Voice, you were a senior in high school, correct?
Yeah, I was a
Was it
yes, I was a senior. Yeah,
okay?
sorry.
Oh, so we we'll kind of use this as our segue into The Voice, and we'll talk about The Voice for a bit. Um, so how did you kind of balance school and The Voice and the uh, being the notoriety of being on The Voice while you're still in high school? How did you kind of balance all that?
Well, I'm a homeschool nerd,
Okay.
so most of the time I did spend at home. I did end up going to a place here in Memphis called the Bridge. That's my dog. Where, where I went 2 days a week, and it was with a bunch of other homeschool kids. So I got a little bit of social interaction,
Yeah.
and that helped. And bless my parents, when I started getting to pre-calculus and chemistry, they were like, "You need help. We can't help you with this."
Yeah.
So that was I had a kind of different experience being a high school kid. But I would say the notoriety was kind of weird. Especially being a homeschool kid, because I'd go
Yeah.
places, especially in Nashville. Every time I go to Nashville, I get like someone recognize me.
Yeah.
But it was just weird. I didn't ever really get used to it, and it was just it was just a weird experience. But I was it was awesome because I started homeschooling in ninth grade, and I think by that time I was already accustomed to just handling my own schedule,
Yeah.
while the other minors in the show had to quickly figure out how to do their schooling
Yeah.
while while doing that online, just talking to their teachers. So I was fortunate to have already kind of figured out how to balance things a little bit.
Awesome. That's awesome. Um, so what was kind of the what's the audition process like for The Voice?
Well, it is a lot of auditions before you see the real thing.
Hmm.
I remember I went to Atlanta for one of their open call
Mhm.
auditions, and remember seeing the massive line wrapping this convention center.
Mhm.
And this was just group one for the day.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, this is a lot of people. This is completely impossible. And just seeing that group like slowly shrink. After auditioning that day, we were called back for a callback the next day in a studio where I'm allowed to play the keys, and you sing 3 songs in front of five judges, and they at this point of the game they film everything you do.
Mhm.
So you have a camera in your face consistently, and you're in front of a bunch of people that hold your dreams in your hand.
Yeah.
And so that was an interesting experience, but it just kept going on, and ended up they had asked for us to answer a questionnaire that they were sending. They sent a lot of questions in before each audition that I had to answer in depth. And we, after that second callback, they said, "Hey, you'll get another questionnaire and answer that and get it back to us as soon as possible." Well, I never got that, and so I thought, okay, they've cut me out.
Yeah.
I'm done. And ended up they didn't know I didn't get it, and reached out to me. And they're like, "Why haven't you sent this in?" And I was like, "I have not gotten that. Please send it now." And within a week, I got the executive call back, and it kept going. It was just a crazy process that it just kept going.
Oh wow. So it's a lot like the American Idol process, I'm assuming, because
Yeah.
last summer I worked from my 9 to 5 job. I work for a TV station. We're an ABC affiliate,
Yeah.
and so the city I lived in last summer was part of the American Idol bus tour.
Yeah.
And so we were because we were the ABC affiliate in town. It's like, hey, you get like all this access, cool. And so we got to really see the process. And so like the audition was for in front of like the music producer,
Yeah.
and then like if you got in, you had to go to the back room to get like audition in front of like the associate producer,
Yeah.
and then if you got past them, then it was like a mid-level producer, and then it was just like, okay, if you make it back past them, the next day you get to go wherever to audition for the executive producer,
Yeah.
and then you get put into the like actual on air, like you know how American Idol has like their whole on air audition process. Then you get into that process, and it's like
Yeah.
that's great, you know.
Yeah.
So all
It's a
right, so you're enough about American Idol. We're not talking about American Idol, but um, so you're 17 at this point, correct? Or
I'm
eight,
on
yeah,
the voice. Yes.
yeah.
17. Yeah.
So on The Voice, 17 years old, you get elected to go in and actually audition on air. What what song did you end up choosing, and why did you choose that song?
I chose "Don't You Worry About a Thing" by Stevie Wonder, and I thrive when I am truly authentic to myself, and I really really thought that that just showed um my style vocally and also just my personality. and and I love Stevie Wonder. He's a boss. Dream collaboration right there. And I just thought it fit, and we got clearance for it, and I was like, awesome, let's do it. So
So is that kind of the only real hold back on to what song you want to audition with is if they can get clearance for it? Or
yes,
is
do.
the
Yeah, they have to get clearance for things, and that was the one interesting part about it, because you never really think about that.
yeah.
But yeah, that you have to get clearance for it, and then you're good to go.
Okay, cool. And so you had to have like a backup ready just in case.
Yes.
Well, do you remember what the backup song was?
I
That
know at one point they I possibly was gonna sing "This Is Me" from The Greatest Showman.
okay.
um but I'm very happy I got to sing Stevie Wonder.
Yeah. And, oh, and so that through the audition you got a two-chair turn, correct? It
Yes.
was Kelly Clarkson and John Legend.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you what was it about John that just kind of spoke and why you picked him?
I the piano thing. I loved
Mm,
the piano thing. I thought he would get that part of me, and just the musical side of things. I really thought um, I mean, he's really thrived in like every part of this
mm,
business, and um, yeah, I just thought it was cool. He's got the soul vibes,
yeah,
and yeah, it was. I was like, definitely John. I told my parents, I was like, it's gonna definitely be John if I get the choice.
yeah. Oh, oh, so like, how did things kind of progress after the audition? Like, because they record the auditions like way before like the actual live shows, and well, because then they got like the auditions, and then they got like the battle rounds, knockout rounds
Yeah,
before they even get into the.
yeah.
So how long was it between the audition round? Like after you audition and you make the next round, what was kind of the process after that?
Well, we auditioned, and it is definitely hard because then you have to keep your mouth shut for like a long period of time.
Yeah,
And bless the family, oh bless their
yeah.
souls. I walked into the bank one day. My banker was like, "Congratulations on the voice." I'm like, "How do you know?" Your dad's been in here. He told me. So yeah, it was definitely hard keeping the secret of
Yeah.
the voice. But we filmed in October,
Hmm.
and I went home for the holidays while they finished up their previous season for the lives.
Yeah.
And went back in January and literally spent a week. We got there um, one night, and we were there for like 6 days, and you don't know your song until you get there that night. So you learn that thing lickety split and get with your partner, and it's like you're rolling now. And so that was an interesting process. And yeah, after that, week, I went back home, and of course, then we have the comeback stage. So I was flying back
Yeah.
and forth, back and forth, doing different things. But yeah, it's a very long, drawn out process. And then it aired February.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you get knocked out in the knockout rounds, and then you get elected to go to the comeback stage. And so they had you guys you were flying out to LA. That's where they film, correct?
Yes, LA. Yeah.
So when you get to the comeback stage, you're flying back and forth from LA to Memphis. They didn't just keep you out there.
Well, they their philosophy usually is we're not going to waste your time, as well as not our time. So when I got cut off on the battle, and they sent me home for literally a week. And within 24 hours of getting home, I heard that they wanted me on the comeback stage. So
Oh
it was
well,
like, okay. And literally 6 days after being home, I flew back to film the first part of the comeback stage. So it was just back
back
and
nice. And then you ended up making it to the semifinals of
forth.
the comeback stage.
Yeah.
Uh, how's your life kind of changed after The Voice, as far as like your music,
Yeah.
all that stuff?
I think one personally, it just showed me that it is possible. So that was really neat, for me to see, to prove to my family, as well, that it is possible and achievable. And um, I think music wise, I think it's helped a lot having a little bit of street cred
Yeah,
around here. And I can just throw in that email sending to a venue. I can be like, hey, by the way, I was on The Voice. Please let me play at your venue.
yeah,
So that has really helped open some doors, which has been awesome. And just really been able to connect me with a lot of people. I think the first thing I did when I got back home was look at who else in Memphis had been on The Voice, and immediately reached out to them. And I was like, hey, we should be friends. We have so much in common already. So those two things, it's just connections and just possibilities that have happened that have been really cool.
awesome. What's the biggest lesson you've learned throughout the entire process of auditioning and being on The Voice? What was the biggest lesson you learned?
I would say it's cliche, but I would say being yourself,
Mm,
hands down. I think it around the time that I was auditioning, I had a handful of people that knew I was auditioning, and everyone kept beating it in my head: "Be yourself, be yourself, be yourself." I mean, everyone around me, and I didn't really take it to heart then, and just was like, "Okay, of course I'm going to be myself." And you get there, and you're surrounded by all these people that look like they're killing it,
yeah.
and they look great and they sound great, and you're like, maybe I should do that over there. And it's so very easy to get in your head, about all those things. But I think the main thing that the voice producers even beat into our heads was, hey, you're here because you're you, and that's why
Mhm.
we wanted you. So um, during the voice, coming off of the voice, I think that's the main thing, is just staying authentic to yourself, to your genre of music, and just rolling with that.
Now, does The Voice have like a post show like tour or anything that they do? Because I remember like back in the day, American Idol had like their summer tour or something they
Yeah, I
did.
went to one of those. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that was really cool. We Man, we would have loved that. We really would have. They've always talked about it.
yeah.
I kind of got the tea behind the scenes, and it's a possibility in the contract,
Yeah.
and it's never happened just because they fit 2 seasons into one year. And
Uh-huh.
I think it honestly, I don't think it'll ever happen.
Yeah.
I
Well,
just think
because they book so many, they do so many shows uh,
yeah,
already per season. Like they're doing 2 shows a week, and then they're doing like god amount of weeks. Like just it's one of those. Like luckily in the later seasons, they've really found a way to kind of condense down some of the rounds.
yeah,
But then they started adding more rounds, and it's like okay,
yeah.
so. Um, but without you didn't have to like sign any rights away to any of your originals while on The Voice or anything, did you?
No, I did not. That was one worry of mine, and thankfully, I mean, on that show, you're not even allowed to sing any
Mm.
original songs. The one time I played a snippet was on the blind audition when they came to my house and they filmed, and I was in my room like I am now,
Yeah.
and played like a small snippet of mine. But that was just one thing. I had to give them clearance to play my song, and that was
Okay.
it. So, yeah.
Okay. Cool. No, that's really cool that they don't want any of your like
Yeah.
original stuff. You know, that's really awesome of them. Um, but did it when you got eliminated in the battle rounds? Did it at least make you feel a little bit better that you got eliminated by the eventual winner of the season, or was it like, yeah,
I have my my parents continue to remind me you lost to the winner. I it was it was cool. I mean, it was cool. I was like, okay. I mean, if I'm gonna lose, might as well lose to the winner. But yeah, that yeah, it was interesting. That was an interesting period. And I do. My parents will not let me forget it.
that's funny.
uh,
That's so funny. And so when they do, because what confuses me about the battle rounds is like I would be so worried about messing up like during like
yeah,
just kind of watching all like the audition
yeah,
and just seeing everybody being perfect. Well, perfect
yeah.
throughout the entire thing, and it's like, wait, doesn't anybody just ever like mess up and like not know how to like rebound or
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
so when you did the like battle, when you did the battle, did you guys rehearse it on stage beforehand, or was it just like, nope, you're live and or well, you're looking live and just go?
Well, we do have one stage rehearsal, and that is with John. And it's kind of where he's talking through things. And funny story, I'm a klutz. I can barely walk when I'm barefoot,
Yeah,
and he put me in these massive heels for the battle. And I walk out, and again, gotta stay authentic, y'all. This could not preach more about that. And I walk out, and I am clearly uncomfortable. And John looks at me. He's like, this is not working. And I'm like, I know, I'm not in control of what I'm wearing right now. And he immediately he looked at somebody. He was like, please give her shorter shoes to wear. And sure enough, they gave me shorter shoes. So John saved me from breaking my neck in heels.
that's awesome.
Yeah,
What was the experience like working with John?
he is just he's very cool. He's
Yeah,
very like just real, like I felt like an idiot around him because he's just so cool and collected, and very much so that stage rehearsal I definitely got like honestly just dad vibes, just full on dad vibes. He was just really he was just really chill. He came in with a sweatshirt on. I was like, he's just one of us, this is cool. So
yeah,
yeah, it was really cool working with him.
awesome, awesome. So now it's been about a little over a year removed since you've been on The Voice,
Yeah,
and obviously you haven't really been able to take advantage of that as much as you'd like
yeah.
because of this global pandemic situation that we will not call names, but just say that it exists. Um, if you were able to, would you be out? Well, you'd mentioned that you were starting to book out shows beginning of the year. Was that the plan? Like once you graduated, hit the road and just tour until you either hate it or want to come back home?
That was definitely the plan. I was pouring my heart into as many live shows as possible, because that truly there's not a lot of places you can play when you're like 16 and 17.
Hmm.
So right when I was getting around that age, and I was able to kind of pull the voice card and get into as many
Yeah,
venues as I could. That was really neat, and just to grow as a musician too, because um, I'm all about practicing everything, and I wasn't naturally comfortable on stage when I began. And so it really kind of gave me a place to really start getting comfortable on stage and coming into my own. So that was my main focus. I was still somewhat writing music, but that was all of my energy was really going towards live shows.
Awesome. And then when you're out doing live shows, is it just you and the piano, or do you have like a band with you, or does it kind of depend on what the setup is?
It depends on the setup. I love both for different reasons. Um, and started really finding some great musicians here in Memphis that it's so much fun to get up there with other people. It's a completely different thing. Just have people to feed off of. And usually I will, if I do have a full band, I will fit in a period where I'm up there doing like 5 songs just alone on the piano. I'll give them a break and be like,
Hmm.
I got this for a few seconds,
Yeah.
and kind of still do my thing. So yeah, I usually did both over the past year, kind of mixed it up.
Awesome. Awesome. That's really that's the interesting part because it's like you got a lot of musicians are solo acts and then they start wanting to bring in bands, but like a band is so much to manage because you got schedules and all
Yeah.
that stuff. Um, but right now you have like a consistent collective that you like to work with, or is it kind of ebb and flow as the?
It ebbs and flows. I found actually some old high school buddies of mine that I've grown up with practically. We all kind of got together after The Voice, and I was like, "Hey, it'd be just fun just to do some shows together." And we had so much chemistry just because we knew each other,
Mhm.
and that was just really cool. So they're my main people, just because it's just so fun. I mean, it's good because it flows with us, and we just kind of feed off of each other. Um, and so those are my main guys. They're about to go to college, and I'm gonna be all alone again, so I have to find some new people.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's cool working with new people. I'm hopeful. I'm hopefully gonna get a main group of people, and then have some like backups over here just in case I need them. So that's another goal of mine to have.
Yeah, absolutely. And that makes a lot of sense. Is a is there a thought of you maybe going to college, or are you just 100% music and college can wait?
I I go back and forth. I A dream school of mine is Berkeley College of Music. I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
go there for years, and I coming off of The Voice, I just thought we need to ride this wave as long as possible.
Yeah.
Like, let's just do this as long as possible, because I'm one of these people. I will go hard at the one thing I'm doing, and then when I burn out, I'll go hard at something else.
Mm-hmm.
So I can so see me going hard at this for 5 years and then saying, all right, I need a minute, and going and learning how to produce and how to do all the other things that I'm dying to do. Um, so I definitely see it in my future. Due to COVID, I was
Yeah.
even looking at going this year, and now I'm like, maybe not, not
Yeah.
this year. So it's all up in the air. But
Have you started experimenting with like learning how to produce right now since you've got a little bit more time, or do you just not have the setup and?
I well, I used to actually go on GarageBand when I was really young,
Mhm.
and am just now kind of remembering this side of me because I kind of lost sight of it for a little bit. But I go in and find like the pre-recorded stuff, and I'd kind of mix it all together and see if I could make a song. So I do think it's in here somewhere.
Mhm.
I need to go find it again. But that is definitely, I was even thinking about it this week just because why not? I mean, I
Yeah.
have the time, and I do have a little bit of equipment just to kind of get by and kind of experiment with some things.
Yeah.
So
So you have the ability to kind of record yourself, or is it not that in depth of equipment?
I do have one of those Yeti mics. You know what I'm talking
Okay.
about? Those little
Yeah, the
portable
Yeti.
things. So that is usually what I use if I need to like lay down something that's better than a voice memo.
Yeah. I got it. Well, because the reason I was asking is because I've been talking to a few musicians that have just like basic setups, and they've
Yeah,
been talking about doing like a quarantine EP or an LP,
yeah,
like just
yeah,
just very DIY, very. If it's not 100% perfect, that's fine. But
yeah. It goes
so
with
I didn't know if that was ultimately where you were going with it,
that's
or
cool.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm not that good yet. I'm not that good, but I can see me if I had to. I could probably record an acoustic something and
Hmm.
just have that just there.
Yeah.
The
Uh,
acoustic quarantine album.
Hey, hey, that's the way to do it. Like that sounds
Yeah,
perfect. You know, you don't have to. It doesn't have to be perfect. It could
yeah,
just kind of live as itself. And then it'd be really because like I mean, it doesn't take much. Like people don't realize for an acoustic set, it's a mic like this and maybe a pencil condenser. If your acoustic guitar has a pickup on it,
yeah,
or a DI, like already a DI,
yeah.
you're probably all right,
Gucci. Yeah.
So, was there ever concern that like as you're going through like the process with the voice that would cause you to burn out? Because it seems like it was very aggressive and a lot all at once. Was there ever concern that you'd burn out from the voice?
You know, it's definitely in my blood. I remember even the night I got kicked off. Of course you cry because you just failed on national television. And I was in my hotel room and I was like, oh my gosh, I've got to do this for the rest of my life. So even the exhaustion coming with it and the emotional things that come with it, because it is a lot. I think that even fired me up even more to do it. It is a lot. And after that show, I did take a very much needed vacation.
Hmm.
But I think the main thing another thing I have learned over the course of this year and through the voice is just being able to find that balance. It's
Hmm.
just about being able to kind of, I think a lot of the times I do have tunnel vision and I'm all about working and getting to the next goal. And I think at the end of the day, you got to find a balance between everything, and you'll be good.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really impressive that you were, especially at such a young age, because you were still 17 when you got kicked. Like, um, being able to take that rejection and turn it into fuel to be like, okay, no, we're gonna continue really going with this. It's that's really impressive because like I've talked to a few different people that have done either American Idol, The Voice. What's the other one that they do that's produced by The Voice? Songland.
Yeah, yeah.
And I've talked to a few different people, and some of them they get kicked off and they just couldn't handle it, like, and they take a long vacation, and then like real life starts to set in. It's like, oh, I gotta pay bills, and then it's like, okay, so they start paying their bills, and it's like after a year, it's like, oh, music isn't even a part of their life anymore. But then you got people like you and a couple other people that take it and they just keep on trucking. So that's really impressive, that just especially at such a young age that you were able to take the rejection well and just kind of keep on keeping on. I'm trying to figure out how many Joe Dirt references I can drop in one podcast.
That's awesome.
I was watching that the other day because on YouTube TV it recorded, and I was like, oh, I ain't seen that movie in 5 years, and now it's just like, oh, random Joe Dirt but one of the things that we like to do on the podcast is try and help pass on knowledge and really help build up the younger musicians that are maybe just getting started, don't know where to start. So I want to take the next few minutes to kind of run down that avenue and just help build the knowledge base of younger musicians. So,
Cool. I love
um, in general, what advice do you have for somebody that's just getting started, or maybe they're having trouble finding themselves creatively? Like, what advice do you have for them?
Well, I have this one friend, and she was actually on The Voice as well. Her name's Grace Askew, and she's freaking awesome. Her main focus is songwriting, and she, during this period of kind of figuring out writing again and diving into that world, she she wrote this post one day, and she said, "Dare to suck." And I think a lot of the time we're so scared to start something because we're scared it's gonna suck. And I think sometimes you gotta write the bad stuff and sing the bad stuff to get to the good stuff.
Hmm.
And if if I could share with y'all my very first vocal solo, it is not anywhere near what I did on The Voice. And it's just you got to trust the process. It's just it's consistency and hard work. I mean, that's the main two things about anything.
Mm.
And that's the two things I'm still learning myself to this day, and I'm have to remind myself it's just consistency. You got to keep going, and so yeah, I would just dare to suck, dare to suck.
And then as far what advice would you have for musicians that are maybe getting ready to go into the studio for the first time?
Hmm. I would say, me personally, I tend to rush a lot of things, and I'm ready to get there today, yesterday,
Yeah.
and I think especially when you go into the studio and you're creating something that will be on this world hopefully forever, um, you really really want to make sure that it's good and you're proud of it, and it is a massive investment usually, so you really want to make sure you're putting um, good good work into it. And so I would say just take your time. Just take your time. If you think you're ready and you've got all your stuff together, take just even another week, or if you want to, another month, because you'll probably write your favorite song 2 days before you record.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then as far as like the voice, what advice would you have for anybody that's like maybe interested in auditioning for the voice or
um, I again, be yourself. I can't beat it into your head enough.
that's
And
kind of why I asked because I kind of had a feeling I knew what you're going to say and
yeah,
I just really wanted you to say
yeah.
it again.
Say it again. Be yourself. Be yourself. Be yourself. Say it until it hurts. Yeah, and just again, trust the process. That's another process where you overthink everything, and you just sometimes got to say, you know, trust the process. It's just,
Nice. Awesome. So we're going to do something a little bit different and a little bit more fun. I got this random question generator. That is, we're going to do a series of random questions that I don't even know what's going to be asked. Well, that's a
okay.
lie. I know two of the questions because I like to ask these specific questions.
Okay.
Um, so first question is pineapple pizza, yes or no?
No.
Okay. Is pizza a big thing in Memphis? I think of barbecue. What's that?
It's a big thing in my life.
Okay. Like when I think of Memphis, automatically go to barbecue, but
Barbecue. That's our thing.
if
Yeah.
you were offered the position of mayor of Memphis, would you take it?
No.
Okay. What board game do you like the most?
The only thing that can come to mind right now is Clue.
I that's kind of an old school. What do you do in your free time?
Free time. Netflix. Netflix all the way.
All right, this is kind of a odd question, but it's in front of me, so I'm going to ask. It doesn't even make sense at this point, but I'm going to ask it. Would you dress in drag for $25?
When I dress in drag, um, I might for 100.
Okay. Do frogs have ears?
Oh my gosh! Oh, this is gonna keep me up tonight. Um, I'm gonna say yes.
All right. If you could go back in time 1,000 years, what year would you visit?
1,000 years. I've always wanted to go back to the 1950s, but that's not 1,000.
That
Um,
yeah. Okay, 19. Why the 1950s?
I am in love with the style and the music style and the dress style, and I love all things 1950s. I just liked that era.
That's like the doo-wop or the
Yeah,
like
yeah. Poodle skirts,
poodle
leather
skirt.
jackets.
Yeah. If you could start a collection of anything, what would it be?
Hmm. Oh, well, I'm a music nerd. Records. Records.
Yeah, recently just started mine. Actually, what I started doing was I would go on eBay and they'd sell like wholesale lots of 45s for like you get like 50 of them for 20 bucks, and it's just like some of them are in paper sleeves, some of them are just raw, like you never know what you're going to get. And I bought that and I was like, okay, let's see what happens. And I ended up getting some like really good stuff. Like some of it was like slightly scratched,
Yeah.
but it was like I got like Bill Weathers and just like, I got a random like early pressing of Elvis Presley. And it's just like, it's just like, okay, cool. And you got a lot of garbage in there, a lot of like people that had a feature from somebody or it was
Yeah.
produced by somebody famous, but like they never made. So it was really interesting. And I still got a lot of them sitting in my closet just because they're there. But.
That's cool.
All right. So two more questions. What scene from a non-horror movie scared you as a child?
It wasn't even a part of the movie. You know that part that used to be at the beginning of like the VHS tapes where it had the THX, right?
Yo, with the
Yeah.
big stereo, like,
Oh yeah.
yeah,
I cried every time, man. I cried every time.
yes. I, Once you spelt it out, because I was like, wait a minute, where's she going with this? But
Yeah.
then you said THX, and I was just like, oh, I know exactly what you're talking
Yeah.
about. And the final question, it's my favorite question. That's why I keep it as the final question. What is your current favorite guilty pleasure song?
Guilty pleasure song.
Yeah, to
Ooh.
listen to or rock out to in the car.
Mm. I'm listening to a lot of Charlie Puth and Ash right now.
Okay.
So I would say Charlie Puth's new song, Girlfriend, and then Ash's Moral of the Story, I think. Those are
Okay.
my two top.
Okay. Cool. I like there's 100% nothing wrong with Charlie Puth, but I don't know who Ash is. Like I'm so out
She's
of the loop.
awesome. That's your homework. You have to go check her out.
Okay. Okay. I will do that. It just because I don't listen to like especially now,
Yeah.
like if it's not on the live and amplified Spotify playlist, like I'm probably not listening to it.
Yeah.
So, but no, that I will definitely check her out and see what's going on there.
Cool.
Um But thank you for participating in our yet to be named random questions segment.
Of course. I was happy to.
It's kind of funny because I kind of jump between three different random question generators, and some of the questions get really weird, like depending on which one I select, and it's just like, all right, so. But so actually, let's have you play one last song here as we kind of start working towards the end of the podcast. What song are you gonna play, and like what's kind of the story behind it?
This is one of my songwriter Sundays.
Hmm.
Most likely going to be when I record. Um, and this is called Sunny Side Up, and I wrote it um, during this amazing quarantine. And I think we can all relate to getting into a funk during this period. I feed off of people 100%, and not being around them
Yeah.
was not fun. But I do what all songwriters do, and I write a song about it. That's my answer and everything. So this is called Sunny Side Up. See the gray creeping into my day. Is this numbness I'm feeling? Or is this just pain? Maybe I'll see about fate tomorrow. Let my dreams flee. The sorrow go away. Go away. 'Cause I don't feel how I normally feel. Maybe it's all in my head. But if you told me you felt the same things, how could you tell me? Do you Please don't give it all away to the night. Moon and the stars can't beat you combined. When you think you've had enough, turn your face sunny side up. Sunny side up. You were right, happy fed my soul. But before I knew it, my grief took control. Maybe it's in the air I'm breathing. Depression's like disease, no one will see it. Go away, go away. 'Cause I don't feel how I normally feel. And maybe it's all in my head. But obviously you learned how to be. Living a life where you control your positivity. You say, maybe it's the way the clouds surround you. Those rainy days just seem to be marking a name to put out your flame. Oh, please don't give it all away to the night. Moon and the stars can't beat you combined. When you think you've had enough, turn your face sunny side up. Sunny side up. Take it one day at a time. One day I'm gonna be alright. Never gonna stop smiling, smiling. Take it one day at a time. One day I'm gonna be alright. Never gonna stop smiling, smiling. One day at a time. One day I'm gonna be alright. Never gonna stop. One day at a time. One day I'm gonna be alright. Never gonna stop.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. And you said it was one of your songwriter Sunday songs.
Yes, it was. Follow me on Instagram and subscribe to my YouTube. I post those on there too.
Now, so do you pre-record those and then upload them, or do you do the? Have you thought about doing them live, or?
I have definitely thought about doing them live. I'm still too chicken to. Most of them are seriously so fresh. I'm like, I'm definitely gonna mess this up if I try to do this live. So I haven't gotten there yet. My friend Grace actually is the one who kind of inspired me to do these more often, and she does it raw, hits that Instagram live button, and she goes to town, and it amazes me people that can do that.
Yeah, you brought up Grace, and I've been following her for quite actually a few years now. And was it last year she was doing the brand new song every day thing?
Every single day, dude. She had made this challenge a year before last year, and she was like, I'm gonna write a song, 365 songs.
Mhm.
Well, then it went so well, she did it again. So
Yep.
she wrote, how many is that? That's like,
Last time, or when I stopped kind of getting the alerts, it was like right around 570 or something like that.
she
It was a lot.
It
Yeah.
was a lot. And she even talked to me because this is the first year she hasn't done that in 2 years.
Yeah.
And she was like, it's kind of nice to finally just take a minute and be able to look at the songs that I wrote and
Yeah.
give her brain a break. So
Yeah. Absolutely. So kind of obviously with the pandemic, no shows, kind of moving forward, what's the plan?
plan is keep writing, definitely get in the studio this year, and I'm probably going to release at least 2 or 3 more songs that may be on a 3-song EP.
Mm.
It may be a cover. It may be a piano version of Dear World. Wink, wink. So I definitely am still planning on doing stuff, and still hopefully planning on doing a lot more shows, whether they be virtual or in person. Um, so yeah, yeah.
Awesome. So it's really refreshing to hear that you're not kind of marking 2020 as a loss. Like I hear so many
Yeah,
people kind of saying, "Well, let's just wait for 2021."
yeah,
You know, you
yeah.
can't do that.
No, you can't do that. You got to keep working.
Hmm. Absolutely. And so you'd mentioned a little bit ago that you hadn't really been pushing your social media as much. Was that something that you started doing after The Voice as you started getting notoriety, or was it more this year now that you got a lot more time to kind of focus on that stuff that you?
I think I did it a lot coming off of The Voice,
Hmm.
and then I think it's something I'm not that passionate about. And so after The Voice kind of fizzled out, I kind of
Stop.
questioned it a little bit, and now, and I still am not the best at it to this day. It's definitely harder to create content when you're stuck in your house all the time, so you got to
Yeah.
really get creative. Um, but it's been cool seeing the learning process of that, and just figuring out different ways to create more content. I think it's one of these worlds. A lot of us are like our photo or like our video, and I think the more you give people to consume, the more they'll appreciate it.
Hmm.
So I think it's just one of these. You just got
Yeah.
to keep
Yeah.
rolling
And
stuff out.
actually, one thing that I've really noticed, especially for like musicians that are like more known as like a solo act, if they treat their music page like their personal page, and instead of, oh, everything we post has got to be about music, everything we post has got to be about what I'm working on. Like if you have a thought about, I don't know, the last episode of whatever you're into, like whatever show you're into, and you post it on your band or music page, I think that's like a really authentic way of like growing your fan base. And if you know how to hashtag it correctly without being like, hey, I'm going to put 800 hashtags in here because I want the most amount of people to see it. Like I'm definitely guilty of that, but I do that more on um Instagram just because like on Instagram it's more photo driven or
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
Um so would you say right now you're more active on Instagram or Facebook?
Instagram.
What is it about Instagram that kind of attracts you?
I just think one, I grew up with it, so it just came naturally when I started doing music, just to kind of incorporate that. I am trying to get better at Facebook and kind of keep up with that. Thankfully, you can link the two worlds now, because Facebook took over Instagram, so that kind
Yeah,
of helps. When I post something, I just immediately post it on Facebook, but I usually forget to go check back and like respond to people on Facebook.
that's funny.
um,
I have the
but
exact opposite issue.
really.
I like it's more of whenever I post something on Instagram, I have a tendency to like completely forget I posted something there. I've been trying to get better at it, but it's not always that
It's a
easy.
struggle. It's a struggle. It's a
Yeah,
completely different job to keep up with social media.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But first off, I want to thank you so much for jumping on this podcast. It's been an absolute blast. I can't believe we've been going for almost an hour and a half. It
I
just
know. Time flies when
flew
you're
by.
having fun.
Uh, but as we kind of start wrapping this up, I want to end it on one very big question. It's probably the biggest question we ask.
Okay.
Why music?
Ooh, I would say, it's all I've ever done. It's all I've wanted to do. Um, my mom sometimes has to beg me to go to sleep at night because I'm just consistently working on music, and it is all I think about. It's all I've strived to do. I have not one athletic bone in my body, so I already knew that was out the door. And it's how my brain operates. I hear someone say something, and I hear a song idea, and I see a picture and I think about the caption you can post on social media, and I'm in the studio, and that's like a completely different thing. I just, it makes me come alive. And it's just my complete passion. I mean, it's just all, it's it. That's it. It's all I've ever wanted to do. I remember looking at my mom when I was 13 years old, and it was after I'd had one of my first vocal lessons, and I I'm this little sproutlet. I have glasses too small for my head, and I'm just I'm just struggling. And I looked at my mom. I was like, I don't know when this is gonna happen. I don't know how this is gonna happen, but I was like, I know this is gonna happen. So I think just having that consistent mindset has just kept me going.
Awesome, awesome. And then where can everybody find you on social media? Let's help get your
Yes,
followers up and all that stuff. Where can everybody find you online? New
yes,
music,
I
any
am on all streaming platforms: Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, you name it, I'm probably on it. So look up Savannah Brister, SAVANNAHBRISTER. And I am on the same on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Um, so just look up Savannah Brister. You'll find me probably in a hat or smiling. And um, I am also on TikTok, people. Follow me on TikTok. That's my
nice.
new obsession.
Nice.
So yeah.
How's TikTok been working out for you?
It's interesting. Like some things that blow up. I love the fact that you can have 0 followers and have something blow up
Mhm.
completely. And I really do believe that is the new radio. It
Yeah,
used to be like TV and sync placements, right? That's been the past few years. I really think TikTok is quickly becoming the
yeah,
new radio.
yeah. And I think it'll be very much like
Uh,
I think it'll be very much like how Vine used to be, like back when Vine was like the
yeah,
big thing.
yeah.
So it'll definitely be TikTok's definitely something very interesting, as long as it doesn't get too political.
Yeah,
Like,
please.
there's a lot of political things going on right now that it just
You just need some light.
yeah.
Some light.
But yeah. So once again, thank you so much for jumping on the podcast. I really appreciate it. I really enjoyed this conversation. It was an absolute
I did
blast.
too. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. And I really enjoyed hearing like a strip. Well, the songwriter Sundays, I heard a lot of your stripped down music, but like just hearing you play it live. It's is really good. Like I really enjoyed it, and I look forward to hearing the stuff that you're going to record for the EP. Or the upcoming EP or LP, whatever it ends up being. So I'm really excited to hear that and hear the difference. And we'll definitely be following you through your journey through YouTube doing the songwriter. So you post them both on YouTube and Instagram, correct?
Yes, I just started doing the YouTube thing probably about a month ago because
Okay.
I wasn't able to post it on Facebook, just
Hmm.
doing Instagram TV. So I started posting on YouTube, and I'm consistently doing YouTube now.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. But yeah, once again, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Thank you everybody for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys later.
Sounds great.
Yep.
Peace.